Okay, we are live. This is The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. I'm attorney Vince Davis, joined this evening by my co-host, Miss G, Miss Georgette Truan. I got a text to play something this evening before we start with the regular show, and it's a little short video I have on what is justice. So we're going to play that just for a second. I was recently asked a question, and it was a very interesting question. A caller asked me, Vince, out of all of the hundreds of videos you've done on YouTube, what's the single one most important YouTube video you have done? And I thought long and hard about it. And it's probably a video I did, it seems like a year, 2 years, 3 years ago maybe. And the name of the video is, What is Justice? I think that everyone who has a CPS case or has any type of case in general should watch that. I think it's about a 7-minute video where I'm standing in front of a whiteboard explaining what is justice. Justice isn't what you think it is. Please watch that video and educate yourself so that you will know how to deal with this judicial system and your CPS case. Okay, Miss G, have you ever watched that video, What is Justice?
Yes.
All right, so we were scheduled to have a guest tonight. Unfortunately, the guest is not going to be showing up. And what I suggest, unless you have a different suggestion, Miss G, take questions from the audience and talk about questions you may have, Miss G.
Mm.
Do you have any burning questions for me?
Yeah. What advice do you have to give clients, who, especially the male clients, who think they know what they're doing because they worked in federal court, or they were the clerks in federal court or other courthouses? They think they know more than the attorney, and they like to tell the office what to do on their cases. What advice would you give people like that?
It's going to be tough, representing you if you aren't willing to take advice that, I may be giving. Um, you know, everybody has their own experiences.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody has done a CPS case before.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to someone today who's, a regular parent, was a delivery guy for a something like UPS or FedEx or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he had done a lot of research, but he wasn't putting it together the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I've talked to attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
I've had clients that are attorneys that don't really know how to put things together because they never practiced in this area. The smartest client that I ever had in terms of learning the CPS ropes was another attorney who told me just straight out, look, Vince, I don't know anything about CPS cases.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to listen to what you have to say.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I hired you. You're the expert.
Mm-hmm.
And he was an attorney. He is like about a 10-year attorney. So, everybody has their own experiences. Everybody wants to believe that they know what's best and what's right. And, I think I mentioned this a few weeks ago, Miss G. In the old days, I used to argue with them. Used to. I don't do that anymore. All I can do is give you information. I had a paid consult today with a couple. I forget what state they were in Northern California.
Mm-hmm.
They were in Northern California, and a couple. And they kept asking me the same question. And, at some point I had told them, hey, write this down.
Mm-hmm.
And I told them what they needed to do. Now, it turns out that their case was closed and that their child was placed in legal guardianship with a relative
Mm-hmm.
who wasn't allowing them to see the child through the legal guardianship or permanent plan, even though there was court-ordered visitation. And I kept telling them what they had to do. But, they had been thinking about this case, and it was tearing them up inside for 2 years. 2 years. And they had completed a strategy within their mind, and what they wanted to do is they wanted me to bless it, to bless the strategy. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, "This is a paid consult. I'd love to, make you happy, but I have to be honest with you. Your strategy is just 100% wrong."
Mm-hmm.
So, finally, the lady gets it, the mother, and then finally the father gets it.
Oh, really? Usually the dads are very
Yeah.
well.
It was, they didn't owe me nothing. I didn't owe them anything, but, telling them what I honestly believed.
Hmm. Okay, so I have another question for people that have they want to complain about CPS, like Faith wants to complain about CPS. You mentioned before the complaints within the child administration, right? The children administration, and file a complaint with the Washington State office. Am I right?
No,
Um,
no,
no.
no,
What
no. Kind of
HHS?
close. Kind of close.
HHS?
No.
Okay, I'm confused. Okay.
Okay. If you want to file a complaint with or against CPS, I do not recommend you filing at the local level. What I recommend is you filing it at the national level, which is the Department of Health and Human Services, DHHS. You can look at their website, Google it. They have a complaint form that you can use. Second place I recommend is the Department of Justice in your geographic area. You can Google that. Civil Rights Division. Okay. Third place is probably at the state level, at the highest state level. So, for example, California is, the head CPS office or social worker is in the state in Sacramento, filing a complaint with them. And it is up to the discretion of each officer whether they take your investigation and do anything about it. But it's free. It does get on the record. So you should try to, um, make the complaint. And I've heard from a lot of people that I've given this advice to is, "Oh, Mr. Davis, they didn't do anything." I
Mm,
have heard from some people, "Mr. Davis, they actually opened up an investigation." So, it's not guaranteed nothing in life is, but those are the places that I would try with respect to making your complaint. Valerie says justice is no bonuses and incentives to kidnap and adopt our out kids. I'm not sure what she's trying to say.
she's
You,
making a statement. She said, "Justice is no bonus. There is no." You showed a video of justice. What is
hmm
justice? She's
hmm
kind of making us. She's giving us her opinion on justice.
Okay. Anonymous says, I have a question. Bio parent is not going to reunify. Adoptive mom of sibling referred her boss as placement. How likely will child be moved, knowing what we know about trauma subsequent moves? Oh, Anonymous, that question has so many possibilities to it, depending on the facts, depending on who the child's with now. Is it with a relative? Is it with someone that wants to do something in terms of a permanent placement for the child? There's just so many things that could happen. Although, is it possible that the child could end up with her boss? Yes, that's possible. You know, is there some type of nepotism going on? I don't know. Right? I don't know. Valerie says if courts opened up to the public, we could start complaining and they wouldn't be able to collect their bonuses because they would be caught violating rights. Valerie's, to a certain extent, I would have to agree. I'm in favor of open courtrooms. CPS cases are closed courtrooms
Mhm.
by law, by the federal government. I think I spoke a few nights ago about a former presiding judge in California, in Los Angeles County, who wanted to open up the courts to a certain extent. And when they went to make it a state law, they were shot down. I mean, they weren't shot down. Uh, it's rumored that DHHS told them, okay, you can do that. It's a great idea. Make it open court. You just won't get any federal funds. Well, we're not going to go without federal funds.
Well,
So
it's not we cannot, they cannot. Okay, thanks.
Faith says, I did that. I just hope I picked the right department. It's confusing, their websites. But are variances in the foster homes public data or private? Good question. Uh, I'm not sure what you mean by variances, but there are a lot of statistics out there with respect to foster homes. Amber, good evening. Texas here. Good evening, Amber. Anonymous says, could we ask for some kind of reciprocal transparency? Anonymous, you can always ask, but you won't always receive. Faith says, is taking the children out of state illegal? I have so many questions. I'm sorry if I'm asking too many. Is there a way to ask them correctly? Faith, you can never ask too many questions on this show. Correctly, I would have to say yes and no. It just depends, right? Sometimes people ask questions and I'm not really sure, what they're referring to. But keep asking your questions, Faith. I'll try to answer them. Stacy Lee, what happens if father passed away and he had caught a court order for physical custody, even though he didn't live with them? Well, if you're in California, Stacy, the other parent would have to go to court to try to get, make it official that they should have custody. What happens in a lot of cases is father got full custody for one reason, mom didn't get custody because there may have been problems there. And just because father dies doesn't mean, in my humble opinion, that the kids get to go to the mother just because father died.
Mm.
All right. 3D says, my questions are being blocked. 3D, I don't know how that's possible, but I apologize. Try looking at
How is that?
looking at try looking at us on one of the Facebook pages. Faith is saying, is taking the children out of state by foster parents without parental consent illegal? Typically it is, Faith, but generally what happens in these situations is social worker may have given approval or the court itself may have given approval. In Los Angeles County, they call it a walk-on request for vacation. Say your kids are with a foster mother in town and the foster mother wants to go to Las Vegas for a holiday weekend. Technically they can't go without court permission. So if they go for that weekend staycation out of the state, there could be consequences. Okay, 3D, here's one of 3D's questions. What can you do when senior social workers gang stalk and threaten you for years with false allegations? You can make those complaints that I told you about earlier, DHHS, Department of Justice Civil Rights Division, your local, not your local, but your state capital CPS department. And you can also get a lawyer and sue them. Thank you for answering. Could I call to talk to you more in depth? Of course, Stacy Lee, 888-888-6582, bottom line. Parker GG. Hello, Vincent and G. Faith says, how can I request the consequences for them doing things that are illegal?
There,
Well, that's
this
that's. Go ahead, Miss G.
they have immunity. You can't really, like Mr. Davis said so many times on the shows, that lying under oath. I mean, the social worker doesn't even get fired. She gets, or he or she gets promoted. Your focus shouldn't be on how you can request, from them. The focus should be on your children. Am I right? I mean, I don't know what else to say. We've been saying it for years. Don't focus on exposing them. They're not going to be touched. I'm telling you. I mean, I'll be surprised if they kill somebody and they don't even go to jail for it.
Okay, here's a question. Ramona says, CPS, send this letter today. Please be prepared to furnish me with the names, addresses, and any known identifying information of any maternal or paternal relatives of the above named child or children. Ramona, if you sent that to a social worker, you will not get a response, in my opinion. It's
No.
confidential.
The CPS sent this letter.
Oh, CPS
CPS
sent that.
sent her this letter. Correct.
Okay. Then, Ramona, my rule of thumb is send them 25.
25 names of family, friends, anywhere in the United States, and phone numbers and addresses. Am I right?
Anywhere in the world.
I mean, sorry, anywhere in the world. I mean, it could be 25 names or more, actually.
Right. It can be. You know what? Sometimes when I represent a parent and the other parent is friendly, they're on the same side,
Hmm.
they give 25 apiece. So you got 50. That's a lot of people for CPS to say no to. We can then evaluate these relatives for possible placement. Yeah, they're supposed to. Ramona, that's actually the law. In California, it's section 309 of the Welfare and Institutions Code. Does this mean they're going to take the children? It doesn't mean that they are, but there looks like they're giving you a little warning. Something's going on. And if they haven't taken them yet, maybe they're contemplating. Ramona, I would suggest you also call Miss G and talk to her about what in my office we call pre-litigation investigative work that you can prepare yourself, hopefully, and your kids to prevent them from being, detained by the department. All right. 3D says, please don't get tired of the people. You guys are a lifeline to the people, and many are desperately seeking help. 3D, I know what you mean. But sometimes, we're human beings. I don't know about Miss G, but how she feels about it. But, sometimes you just get discouraged,
Hmm.
and it's tough. You, you would never believe how hard it is to help people.
Hmm.
Does that sound crazy?
It's, yep. I'll tell you guys. I'll give you guys an example. On the holidays, while everybody's out there enjoying their holidays, right? Days off. I work. I actually work. I kid you not. I swear to God, I work. Okay. So I found myself working all hours of day and night. However, when I do this, I do it on my own. I'm not saying Davis, you know, uh, pay me for that. No, I'm doing it on my own. Get it? So I dedicate myself to the public, but they don't want help. They want to argue with me. They want to argue about things that needs to be done according to what Attorney Davis advises you guys, according to his book. I have so many people that said, I don't think he's right. Well, then why are you calling me? Why am I talking to you at 9:45 at night? desperately because you need my help, right? So it's discouraging. It's discouraging. Not too many law firms out there, I haven't heard of any at least, that actually answers your text messages, answers your calls at 11:30 at night and talks to you until after midnight. So yeah, it becomes a little discouraging sometimes. Or they know what they're doing. Why are you calling me? Oh, Mr. Davis doesn't know. I think he's wrong. Okay, then why are you calling me? I
You
mean,
know,
I don't get it. I'm sorry, but it makes no sense to me. I mean, there's it. I love to help you guys. I really do, but I also speak my mind. So,
Mr. G, I'll tell you a funny story that happened today. I was in court
whew,
most of the day today,
mhm,
and COVID seems to be going away. Courts are opening back up, and I went to court today for a trial, a
mhm,
contested matter, and I kid you not, there must have been 7, 8 people that came up to me to shake my hand and to thank me.
I believe it.
I don't know who these folks are.
It happened when I was in court with you. Everybody's like, Mr. Davis, Mr. Davis.
So,
Hmm.
I shake their hand and remind them to like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube and even on some of the Facebook platforms.
Hmm.
But there was a woman sitting in the reception area with 2 kids, and the kids were waving at me saying, "Hi, Vince. Hi, Vince." I don't know who these kids are. So I walk over to the woman and introduce myself. And she said, "Well, my kids thought you were their attorney, but they got confused. And told them you were an attorney that I knew of." And I said, "Oh, pleasure to meet you, blah, blah, blah." She said, "I just got my kids back,
Hmm.
and it's been about a 2-year battle." And I said, "Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that, you got your kids back, blah, blah, blah." She said, I originally thought about hiring you 2 years ago." She says, "But I didn't agree with everything that you said
Hmm.
in your videos or on your radio show or whatever."
Hmm.
And, I'm thinking to myself, okay, you know, that happens a lot. And then she told me, she says, "I wasted 2 years
Hmm.
because I didn't believe you knew what you were talking about." And she says, "I recently got them back because I had tried everything. And then I decided to try what you were talking about on your videos that
Hmm.
I've been watching for 2 years." And, I kind of smiled and I said, "Well, I'm very happy you got your kids back. Good luck." Um, but, very, very interesting conversation.
Yep.
Very interesting.
Just imagine. I say this 100 times a day to the people. Same thing. It. Wow. I have no words, and I love it when the male uh, parents love uh, to tell us what to do. And I think it's a male thing. I think it's the alpha thing, especially when they're talking to a woman. And
Mhm,
I've noticed that a lot. I'm being honest. I've noticed that
mhm.
a lot. This guy all day telling me what to do, how to do my job, what I need to do, because he worked as a clerk in a courthouse. That has nothing to do with CPS. Has nothing to do with CPS.
Right.
And it was a criminal courthouse or something like that. And he thinks he knows. Oh, you need to do this. Oh, you don't need to do this. Oh, this is what you need to do. And I'm like, what? I mean, I kind of give him the benefit of the doubt at first, but shit, 28 messages of telling me what to do. It comes to a point where you're like, you know what? Don't tell me how to do my job. Period. Because if you knew what you were doing, you wouldn't be in this mess in the first place. And that's all I have to say.
Okay. You're stating the obvious, Miss G.
Absolutely.
Faith
Yes.
says, "Can a CHIPS trial last longer than 30 days? If not, What to do about it? My trial has lasted since October 31st and just ended yesterday.
Hmm.
Well, Faith, I'm in California, and if I'm going to answer that question as if you were in California, I have heard that term chips, and I think I've heard it in Orange County, but it's not something that I'm familiar with from other counties. So I don't know if that's a special kind of thing, but by statute, your case is supposed to go day to day until completed. Now, does that always happen? No, because different attorneys have different schedules, and I personally have known of trials that have gone over 12 months. 12
Longer.
months.
I
Yeah.
think longer, right?
So 30 days. Yeah, I
Oh,
can see that happening. I can see that happening. And is it illegal? No. Now, here's something that happened maybe 15 years ago. An attorney who happened to be a friend of mine
hmm.
took a trial in front of a judge, and he swore to me that the judge didn't like him. I don't know if that's true or not, but he wanted to go day to day until the trial was finished. And allegedly, he said that they would come there every day, and then at 8:30, judge would make them be there at 8:30, and then at like 4 o'clock, the judge would call the case, or 4:15, and go until 4:30. He finally filed an appellate writ, and the Court of Appeals ordered that judge to go day to day, all day, until finished. So you can get a speedy trial if you want. It depends on, really your attorney assisting something. Not too long ago, um, I was doing a case for a guy, and it was a 6-month review. And there were some issues regarding his drug testing. And the judge continued the case for other reasons. One of them was my request. I had some things I needed to do based upon a new social worker report. Had to subpoena some new witnesses. He actually gave me a continuance for about 2.5 months. Now, I didn't object to it, and here's the reason why. Because my client for the next 2.5 months at that time is going to be able to prove to the judge that there's no problems with the drug testing. Even if there were in the past, 2.5 months goes, of clean tests every week go a long way to show the judge that drugs is not an issue in your life or in your case. So sometimes you want a quick trial, sometimes you want a short, you don't want a quick trial, you want a longer trial period, you know. So, Faith, that's what I have to say on that topic. Valerie says, did you watch the depositions posted by Sean McMillan? They admitted to never getting court orders before removing kids in Arizona. Yeah, Sean brought a lawsuit about that and he won. It is the law, folks. In about
But
99% of the cases, you have to have a court order or warrant. There is a very small percentage where they don't need a warrant, but you usually don't see those types of cases. At least I don't, anyway. What were you going to say?
I heard from several people throughout the years is that the social workers don't come with a court order, but then when they leave, they get a court order 2 days later, signed by the judge.
Yeah, that's no
Yeah,
good.
but the removal was 2 days ago, for example. I mean, like so they get the signature after the fact they took the children. That's still against the law, obviously.
Hmm. Yeah, it is. Jacqueline says, what if I got arrested, but the police made a bad judgment call, arrested for a domestic assault? Then they took my kids because the abuser put one of the kids in danger, but the mother's case started due to her leaving her kid in the care of someone who put him in danger, but was in jail and the domestic was dismissed. Are you following that one, Miss G?
No.
I got lost on that one.
Okay, wait. What if I got arrested, but the police made a bad judgment call, arrested for a domestic assault? Then they took my kids because the abuser put one of the kids in danger, but the mother's case started due to her leaving her kid in care. I don't have no idea. I'm sorry. I'm not following that. I'm trying to make sense out of it.
Jacqueline, try again for us, okay?
Just get to the question.
You're starting to sound like me, Miss G.
Sorry. Been around me too long. Also, the children are in non-relative foster home. Uh, well, Davis talked about this several times. You guys have to submit names of relatives all over the world, names, numbers, and your attorney has to submit this into court. I'm not understanding why you guys saying that the kids are not in a relative's member home. This should have been done from day one. The moment they remove your children, you need to address that. Am I right, Mr. Davis? Or you can't just wait until your case is almost done with and then you address it. It doesn't make sense. Even I understood that finally after 5 years of preaching from Davis. I mean, you have to do everything timely. You can't go back after the time you were supposed to do this and then tell the judge you're biased because you know um, you never put the children in my mother's home, for example. Nothing was admitted into court to begin with. So the past in the court system is the past. You can't go to the court and talk about something that happened in the past. Am I right, Davis?
I mean, you can, but a lot of
You
times,
can't.
like,
But I'm talking about
it's too late.
it's too late. Yeah.
You know, I talked to someone the other day, and they were complaining to me about something that happened 2 years ago.
Hmm.
And I asked her, I said, "Why did you wait so long to bring it up?"
Hmm.
Here was her reasoning. Number one, it was so wrong that I thought the judge would correct it by himself, just correct whatever had happened. And number two, she said, I was so depressed
Hmm.
and it just took me that long to get over it. Now, I believe that, especially with your kids. However, the law doesn't wait for you.
Mm-mm. They don't care about you.
Law doesn't wait for you. If
Mm-mm.
something is going wrong, you need to do something now, not when you feel better about it. And she kept
People.
and
Mm.
she kept telling me, but I was depressed and blah blah blah, and people should listen to me now. And I said, unfortunately, you can't do anything now.
Mm-mm.
You've lost your time to appeal, and you've basically lost your time to bring a federal civil rights lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was like, "Well, you mean I just get screwed and that's it?"
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yes,
and I said, "Well, basically, yeah."
and not in a good way. Screw either. Very bad. Very bad way.
Amber, I know Texas and California penal codes are different, but I have been sued 3 times now. I am in the middle of my 3rd lawsuit. I have been falsely accused of methamphetamine 2 times now. I paid for my own hair follicle and submitted my results. The format was wrong, so Omega Labs and International Laboratories sent myself and the county attorney a detailed report. Okay.
Wait.
And then, there's something else. The court does not want to accept my drug test. Okay. Now, remember, there could be many reasons why the court won't accept your drug test. Number one, and this is probably the most important reason, you haven't laid the proper evidentiary foundation to get that admitted into evidence. Just because you have a piece of paper that says you have a negative drug test, that don't mean boo-boo. You need to get it admitted, right, with the right foundation. Now, how can you do that? Well, there's several ways to do that. Number one, you could subpoena, if you're in California, you could subpoena all the records from the custodian of record for that drug testing facility to court to testify. Or you can subpoena and they have to bring the records with a declaration that says that test is a true and correct copy of the test. Did you do that, Amber?
She said her children have not been removed.
Hmm. Well, I'm just talking about the admissibility of the drug test.
Right. I'm surprised though.
Yeah. Now you can bet if it was positive, they'd admit it.
But even when it's not positive, they still lie and say it was positive. So
I have heard that many times, Miss
mhm,
G.
I
Many
know.
times. Jacqueline says, I desperately need your help. Jacqueline, bottom right-hand corner of our screen, 888-888-6582. Give us a call. Ask for Miss G.
I would like to comment on that, what you just said right now. Ask for Miss
Ask for,
G.
ask for Miss G. Okay.
Yeah. Now, I'm happy to call you guys. But if you don't answer my call and I pick up another call, please don't get mad. If you don't answer my call, that's not my fault, right? So if I'm on the phone with somebody else, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. But if I text you and say I'm calling you, answer the call. There is, I mean, you guys make excuses. Some of you guys, the phone fell in the toilet, or I had the phone on mute, I didn't hear it, or I was on another call, or I was buying lunch or something. I don't care. If you're expecting my call, answer the phone.
How about Miss G? I just didn't feel like talking to you at that point in time.
No, they never say that.
Or my favorite TV show was on.
That one. Yeah, I was watching crime, whatever, justice, something. I was like, oh, I can't get over that. You guys, I have so many people to call, right? So don't expect me to wait for your call. It doesn't work that way. You need to be available when I call you, because again, I call people back to back. That's what I do all day. So please be mindful. If you want an attorney office to call you, please answer the call or respond to my text message. For God's sakes, say, Miss G, please call me later, or I will text you when I'm ready to speak with you. Something like that, for to get your call. Acknowledge that. That's all I needed to say, because I,
Okay. 3D says, what can we, the people, do to help your cause? Regrettably, many of us are poor. Well, what you could do, 3D, is you could share the YouTube channel that you're watching this live stream on with friends, with family, with people you meet at counseling or group counseling or parenting. You could like and subscribe the channel just to spread the news. And then you could start voting and organizing voting, right? Because when it comes down to it, everything that you and I complain about can be changed with a law. Now, that's very easily said. It's tough to do. Faith says, I'll take all the help I can get, and I need someone to tell me like it is. I need help. I'll take your advice if you wish to talk to me at 9 at night. Faith, all you have to do is give us a call, 888-888-6582. Amber, the lawsuit is a product of perjury. The department has sent me to a mobile drug testing company that drug tests oil field companies after accident.
That's
Well,
sad, Amber. That's sad.
Amber, what I would do is I would Google drug testing and find my own drug testing facility. I don't know where you live, but in Los Angeles County, there's many, many drug testing facilities. Faith says, can foster parents vaccinate your kids for COVID-19 without consent? I think they do that. I don't think they can, though. I
But
don't
they
think they're
do it.
supposed to. Yeah, I don't think they're supposed to,
Mm-mm.
but I think that they do.
And that's also a violation. Am I right?
In my opinion, it is.
It is. It's a violation. They
Yes.
can't do that. But these demons do whatever they want, because you guys don't know your rights. You don't have an attorney to defend your rights. If you had an attorney to defend your rights, he or she should have done something about it that instant. Am I right, Attorney Davis, or not?
Yes. Okay, let's
Wait,
see.
there is something that Gigi wrote, Parker Gigi. She said, Miss G, I apologize for sending you too many emails. Honey, I don't know. I don't think you use your name Parker Gigi if you send me a lot of emails, but I get a lot of emails a day. And I don't know which one you are, but I am not mad at emails at all, honey. If it has anything to do with your case, that's fine. I was mainly talking about returning calls. That's it.
Okay, Faith says, my attorney said that I should have admitted and the kids would have already been home. Is this true?
Mhm.
Should I have admitted to the allegations and they would have come home? Faith,
No, that's not true.
that is a strategy some people use. I don't agree with that strategy
Mhm.
for many, many, many reasons. And bottom line, in my humble opinion, and it's just my opinion, if you didn't do something, maybe you should, fight. But whether you admit or fight and win or lose, you're still in the same place, right? Admitting doesn't always guarantee you, or rarely guarantees you, that your kids will be returned to you. I don't know why people say that, but
No, 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 no. No, court appointed attorneys say that. Let me clarify that. Court appointed attorneys tell you you plead guilty so you can get your child back. How many times have you guys heard me say that? Or get your children back? Why are you going to plead guilty to something you didn't do? And what about all the people that pleaded guilty just to get their children back, right? But they never did. So when you plead guilty, all they need is a consent from you so you don't go back and sue them. You have to understand that. This is a demonic strategy so you guys cannot go back and sue them because you admitted to the guilt.
oh yeah, if you admit it, if you had a civil rights case,
Right.
it's been severely diminished, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, 3D says some people require so much patience, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure test your patience. But we are praying for the strength of your entire staff. Well, thank you, 3D. Sometimes we all have to be reminded of that.
Thank you.
Uh,
Faith just confirmed what I said. She said they are court appointed attorneys. Yep, they
and
are.
Gigi says she doesn't use her name on here.
I knew it. I don't. I hope not. She.
Faith says they are court appointed attorneys. Okay. Faith says, I have told them I'm going to sue. So if I lose the case and are found guilty, does that mean I can't sue? Well, it doesn't mean that you can't sue. It means that if you had a case, it's significantly diminished by something called res judicata and collateral estoppel. And there's a long discussion I could give you to try to explain that. Suffice it to say, if you lose, your lawsuit went from there to there, maybe.
And
So
if I may add, why in the name of God would you want to give your enemy a heads up on what you're planning on doing? They're going to stop you. They're going to do everything in their power. If they're not doing it already, they're going to increase everything in their power to stop you from suing them. So why in the name of God do you guys always do that? I'm going to sue you. Well, why? Why? Why are you giving your enemies your strategy?
loose lips sink
There
ships.
you go. So stop it. Just stop it. Do you think you can go against them by yourself? You guys are clueless. You have more rights as a criminal than you do as a parent. Davis said this a million times. So let's keep that in mind, okay? What you guys need to do is document everything. Document everything. For the love of God, have something like this. You get from Amazon. Write down everything. Who you spoke with, who you spoke with, have a book, have a journal of everything that goes on. Social worker said at this time, 1:26 p.m., blah, 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 blah. Whatever. Just write down everything. Have notes, have clear notes. That's all you need. Suing them is after. But you have to get yourself together. You have to get yourself organized. Am I right, Attorney Davis? Or
100%. 100%. Okay, Miss G, we have come to the end of our show. And I want to thank you for co-hosting with me. And I want to thank everyone for viewing this evening. And we'll be on tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Hopefully, Grace is, yeah, our producer Grace is still with us. Grace, see what happened to our guest or line up a new guest. And we'll hear some stories tomorrow.
One
Yes,
second.
Miss G. Yes.
I'm sorry, but Faith just made another statement. She said, because my kids are being abused, so I figured if I threatened them, I would help my kids. No, sweetie. You're actually putting your kids in more harm. You're putting your kids in more harm. You never threaten your enemy, you bite them. But you have to have the right attorney. Like I always say to people, Vincent is a snake. He's a snake. When it comes to court, he's a snake. He knows what he's doing. He doesn't go in court and act like a fool. He's so calm. He knows how to handle the other side. He doesn't handle them with violent. He doesn't become violent, I mean, with them. He knows what he's doing. But you don't do that. You don't threaten your enemy.
Hey, you guys, I want to tell you something. Maybe 3 months ago, 4 months ago, Miss G came to court with me and she got to see me in action.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of the things that happened, I explained to her the strategy and the reasoning behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
He's good. He's so
you know,
good.
you
That
know what?
guy. No, wait. Let me tell them. The other party didn't. He couldn't believe that he was actually there in court. He couldn't believe it. So what I'm trying to tell you, there is nothing anybody can tell me anything about Mr. Davis. I've seen him in action myself, and I work with him. And like I said to you guys a million times, I am honored to actually work with him. Really honored because
Well,
he
thank you.
knows what he's talking about. He does. He knows what he's talking about. So please, please, please listen to him. I'm begging
You know,
you, listen to him.
the only reason why you can say those things about me, Miss G, is because I
I
pay
only
you.
say that's not true. I only say what that's
No,
not
but,
true.
but let me tell you the real reason why you can say those things.
Mhm.
Because I have 35 years of experience.
It's not just that.
I'm not smarter than the average guy. I'm just more experienced than the average guy. And
Davis,
and a lot of experience counts for a lot, especially in being in court as a lawyer. In court
but
as a lawyer.
I would like to add to this is that you should know me by now. If I didn't mean it, I wouldn't say it. Secondly, you are a good attorney. I've seen you. I know what you're doing. I've seen it. I've seen it not just once, twice. Twice. One, anyways, I can't say too much, but I've seen it twice. So you know what you're doing. If you guys doubt, then you guys are fools. You're fools. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Miss G. You're so kind. Ariel, you can catch the replay of these. These live streams are taped on each of these social media
Walmart?
platforms, and you can. She was shopping at Walmart.
Oh,
Okay, so go ahead and watch the replay on YouTube or on the Facebook page you're on. It'll be up there, in a little while. All right, so we're gonna have to end this. Ms. G, thank you again. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific. Good night.
good night.